All right, we'll call this meeting to order. Adequate notice of this meeting has been, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going out of order. I think we need to do Pledge of Allegiance, right?
1 second.
Oh, roll call first.
Don't we
Sorry,
need attendance?
Yeah, I'm doing
yes,
too many
roll
things
call
here.
first, sorry.
All right, we'll do roll call. Mr. Raccomando,
Present.
Ms. Ainello,
Present.
Mr. Laurentino, Ms. Mahoney,
Here,
Mr. Quinn,
Here.
Ms. Robinson. I don't think I saw her yet. Ms. Roloff. I don't think I saw her yet either. Mr. Scheer,
Here.
Ms. Otterelli.
Here.
all right, now Pledge of Allegiance. If we could all please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all members of the Board of Education and to the Bergen Record in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, 1975. At this time, please make sure your audio is turned off during the meeting. Make sure you are muted, and the board will acknowledge and unmute the public if they choose to speak during public participation. Okay, it looks like Mrs. Roloff just joined us.
Great.
All right, I believe it is time for the superintendent's report.
Okay, so this evening, good evening, everyone. This evening's report is actually just going to be an introduction into the presentation that we're having this evening. We decided a while back that we would do curriculum presentations to the full board, and so tonight you will be graced with one. Over the past 2.5 years, a large portion of our curriculum, program, professional development work has really been geared toward the elementary level. And we have a lot of incredible achievements that are in place. And I just want to recap some of them as a precursor to tonight's presentation. We currently have Project Read, which is a multisensory phonics program in grades K through 2. We didn't have that 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago. We're using Words Their Way, which is an etymology-based word study program in grades K through 6. And Shelley Klein, who is our Teachers College Reading Writing Workshop provider, is doing the professional development for Words Their Way. And she's also continuing with Reading and Writing Workshop. Now, this year we were fortunate enough that we utilized some of our funding to purchase the digital resource collection in Reading and Writing Workshop, and Shelley was also working with the teachers on utilizing those tools. We added collections of book studies to the middle school English language arts classrooms to support that program. And we made sure that all elementary classrooms had every math manipulative that they needed at their fingertips. We have a new high school math textbook series and a math assessment and remediation program in place now. We have dyslexia assessment and a remediation program in place now for our early readers. We have implemented responsive classroom and responsive school, and we received newsworthy coverage of that. We have implemented yoga for classrooms. And in the middle school math, we have a Connected Math Project 3 in grades 7 and 8. We've increased our math training, our science training, and in addition, we have many more situations of co-teaching at the elementary level so that children with disabilities can attend their neighborhood elementary schools. We've taken a very close look at option 2, which is for high school students, and we have revised that continually over the past 2 years. And so tonight, we are going to be looking at programmatic initiatives for the middle and high school. So it's taken us a little bit of time to take a really close look at what is working and where the opportunities are in grades 7 through 12. It is important to really understand what the impact of an 8-period day has on our students. So an 8-period instructional day, which includes a lunch, means that our students have 7 instructional periods a day. So that is 35 credits that they could earn, essentially 5 credit periods, 35 credits that they can earn in a given school year. When you take a look at our students, right? So our top student or a top group of students, top 10%, top 20% would have those 35 credits every single year. But if you compare them to a student in a high school, in a neighboring high school, let's say, that has a 9-period day, their students could take 8 classes a year. Okay, so that's an additional 5 credits. Over the course of 4 years is an additional 20 credits. Another high school might offer, for example, a 0 period or an additional period at the end of the day, or they may allow students to take courses during lunch, or they may, and I'm not suggesting that I would want to do a 10-period day and allow students to take classes during lunch, because I don't think that's healthy for students either. But it's important to remember that our high school program has to be able to compete with other top high schools, because when our students are applying to those competitive colleges in other places, they're competing with students in our area. And we want to make sure that what we offer students is every opportunity that we can. And it's not only the top students that we want to offer opportunities to. We realize we have students who are 4-year college bound. We also realize that we have students who are maybe associates or local college bound, right? Or maybe they want to take a couple of years at county and transfer. We have students who go right into the workforce. We have students who go into the military. We have students who are interested in the trades. An opportunity is something, when we're looking at our high school program, that we have examined very closely, that we need to offer opportunities at every single level. So this is not a 1-year plan. This is definitely a multi-year plan. And what Mrs. Violetti and Mr. Meisch are going to present to you tonight is basically a fleshed out version of what we've been working on, which started in a really long meeting that took place a few months back, to show you the kinds of opportunities we're going to try to create for our students this September. And there are some notes about things that will be moving forward into future years. And in some places, they'll be talking about the high school, but in other places, they'll be talking about middle school too. And you will see that they will share with you some of the holes, some of the, gosh, why are we doing that way, kinds of remarks that we made to ourselves, and where those opportunities are. So I am going to, and Mr. Karate, I don't know how you're doing this with sharing the screen. Did you and Tony already take care of that?
Yes, I'm doing it right now. So Ms. Violetti should have a host. You can bring up your presentation. And once you
Okay.
get set, you can turn it back over to me.
Does everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, and then turn it back over to you. And my apologies for not being here at the start of the meeting. I apparently was waiting in an unknown room. So I was waiting for someone to let me in. Anyway, let me present. Okay, so DJ, myself, and Mrs. Shanley, we're working on this presentation together on academic programming for our high school.
Oh.
So this slide is sort of our agenda for the night. We're going to be talking about additions to the program of studies, other opportunities for our students, such as dual enrollment and option 2 programs, and then an additional consideration section, which will include looking ahead and what our vision is. Okay, so this slide is to sort of set up the slideshow, our presentation. What you'll see in that table are the minimum requirements from the state of New Jersey for a high school graduate. And on the left side, you'll see the content area, and on the right side, you'll see the number of credits. I did hyperlink them all in here. So if you click on this logo, You'll be able, once this presentation is shared, you can access the state page. Over here, I linked our high school policy, the Southbrook policy that our minimum requirements for high school graduates. And then down here, I also linked the New Jersey Student Learning Standards, because they are constantly being revised, a whole bunch of new revisions, which sort of drives our curricular programs, which is why some additions are being made. So if you look at this chart, and again, this is the minimum number of credits for high school graduation. You'll see ELA is 20 credits. You'll see health and physical education, 20 credits. Every student has to take a core ELA course, PE and health every single year, freshman through senior, in order to graduate. Then you'll see 15 credits for math and science and social studies. So that's equivalent to 3 years of that content area course. So if you look, for instance, if you take mathematics, you're looking at algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2. And then that 4th year is not a requirement. So one of the courses that DJ will be sharing later will have to do with offering an option for our students for a 4th year mathematics course. I also want to bring your attention to visual and performing arts. We'll be talking about those credits tonight as well. You'll see it down here. We usually refer them to as VPA, and the VPA standards were actually just revised, which hopefully will bring about new courses to our high school in the future as well. Visual and performing arts, that's our music, our theater, our visual arts like painting and drawing, and then our media arts. And then also at the bottom, you'll see 21st century life and careers. Those standards were actually revised, and they changed the name of them as well. And we're going to just continue to determine how to grow our program to encompass the depth of all the standards here. So that sort of sets it up. So the first section of our presentation has to do with our program of studies at the high school. And DJ is up.
Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Okay,
yes.
Thank you. So, one of the things that I've noticed is just, even though we're such a small school, we have a very diverse population in terms of, where our children are going after they finish high school. So obviously, as Ms. Shanley alluded to, we have students who go right into the workforce, right into trades, military, and then we have students who are going to 4-year prestigious universities and literally everything in between. And just one thing to echo that sentiment, our priority as educational leaders is to offer something meaningful to every one of those types of students that we have with us. So, some of what we're proposing tonight, we believe will move us further in that direction. So the first course that we're going to propose is a history of popular music. And this would satisfy 2.5 credits. It would be a half-year course towards the required 5 credits of visual and performing arts. One of the reasons that we felt that this course was necessary is because all of our music offerings require you to sing or to play an instrument, and we recognize that restricts our music offerings to a lot of people. So, one of the things that we wanted to do is open up our music courses to a broader audience. And so, this would be a course that would be for somebody who doesn't need to perform, and that maybe just appreciates music. So it won't be a requirement to, read music, sing, or play an instrument. It would focus on the music from the 20th and 21st century up until the present time. And, we really feel that this would be a nice way for students who aren't musically inclined to enjoy a music course, because up until now, we have not seen that happening. The other reason that we felt that this was important is because right now we have several upperclassmen who need a 2.5 credit course. We actually ran the numbers to see, what that was. And, we have quite a few who still need some credits in VPA. And right now, the only offerings are art credits. So, this is just, again, it opens up another option to our students. And what's happened in the past is that we'll have juniors and seniors, and particularly seniors, who need 2.5 more credits to graduate, and they're in a jam, and they end up getting placed into a course that they maybe have no interest in. So we're hoping by opening up these options that they'll be able to get into something that would be more meaningful for them. Yeah, long term, what we would like to do is offer this as a 9th grade course. That's a full year option. So, and obviously you saw that there's a 5 credit requirement for visual and performing arts, and we would want to push, and we're starting next year, is pushing all 9th graders to satisfying those requirements during their freshman year. So Tony, you could go to the next course. So the next course that we're proposing is called Foundations of Art and Design. So this would be a full year course, and this would be an introductory art course that would explore all the different elements that they'll see in our upper level courses. So our upper level courses, we have ceramics, sculpture, drawing, painting, photography, and even crafting. And so this course would cover all of those different elements. It would satisfy their 5 credits of visual and performing arts. And for next year, we want to make this a requirement for 9th graders who are not in band or choir. And so what would happen is that they would be able to get their 5 credits of visual and performing arts their freshman year. And then what this would do is when they're older, so when they're in the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, they could select art courses that they're either interested in or focus on some of the other courses that we offer in different departments, and not have to worry about that situation where you get to senior year and we need to find a semester course for you. And this course, obviously not for the following year, but for years after, this would be the prerequisite course for all these upper level options that we offer.
The next course we are proposing is AP US History Part 1. So currently, if you see in that first bullet point, we offer AP courses in social studies in every grade level but 10th grade. That's because 11th grade is AP US History, and it covers the content from both grade levels. Those of you that aren't unfamiliar with AP, it stands for Advanced Placement. If you go to the College Board site, you'll see it's an opportunity for students to earn college credit, just to kind of take a rigorous course at the high school level where they're earning college credit and they're obtaining those skills that are important in college, such as time management, critical thinking, and it allows them to just be a little bit better prepared for college. So it gives them a little taste. So, typically AP History, as I said, it's run as a 2-year course. And we did look into other districts, and the majority of districts that we found are running it in both grade levels. So this will open it up to provide our 10th grade students with an option to take an AP course. And there is no AP exam at the end of 10th grade. So the AP exam, the official College Board exam, would be at the end of 11th grade, at the end of junior year. But what we would do is sort of do our own homegrown, homemade mock APA test at the end of the course for our 10th grade students to give them that experience. The good thing about this course is that we already have the materials and the resources. We may need to budget for a few extra books or resources for that class, but because we do have students currently taking AP History, we already have the majority of what we need. Let's see, I think I covered, it will be weighted as an AP course as well for our students. So this one was it just made complete sense. There's no reason for our 10th graders to miss out on the opportunity to have an AP Social Studies course. This is another social studies proposal for human geography. This would be a semester 2.5 credit course. And, there is the social studies department identified a deficit in geography amongst our students. And I was actually watching, I love Wheel of Fortune. So there was reruns of Wheel of Fortune, and the prize puzzle was gondola ride in Venice. And then Pat Sajak asked the couple who won it, where are we sending you? You know where we're sending you. And they said Paris, and then they said France, and they were completely mortified. And we do not want our students to be embarrassed. So the push for education today is really global, right? Global society, global challenges, global issues. In order to really tackle all these global concepts, they need a deep understanding of human geography. So you can see from the bullet points what is proposed to be covered, the content in this course.
The final course that we're proposing for next year is called Applied Mathematics, Consumers and Careers. It's a full year 5-credit math course that would be offered to seniors. And again, this is something that we want to offer a meaningful course for our seniors. The purpose is to provide that 4th-year option, and it's a course that would not necessarily, just similar to how that our history of popular music course, you don't need to be a performer. This would be a math course for somebody who maybe isn't looking to study math in the future. All right, and so maybe somebody who's going into the humanities, or they're going, again, right into the military or right into the workforce. So all of our current 4th-year math options, they're honors, they're AP, or they're extremely algebra heavy. As a former teacher of pre-calculus and AP calculus, I understand that those kind of courses are extremely exclusive, if you will, and we want to open up our math options to a broader audience. The course would focus on how mathematics applies to students as consumers and in their careers. And one of the great points that, as we were kind of fleshing out this course, it's just everybody's a consumer, and understanding how math relates to that. And then also how you're going to see math in a real world, in a career setting, regardless of what type of work you go into. This course would be project-based and extremely practical for anyone who takes it. And one of the things that we're excited about is we do have a math teacher who has an extensive business background, we'll be working closely with that person in developing the curriculum for this course.
Okay, so moving on to other opportunities, we are going to talk about dual enrollment. So this is very simple to implement. So right now we currently have the college experience, where we have our junior and senior students going off campus and taking college courses for college credits. This dual enrollment is having our students earn college credits by taking a high school course here at Saddlebrook High School. So it's on campus, they are not going anywhere. It's sort of to qualify to teach this class and have dual enrollment, a teacher has to possess the same credentials as the college adjunct professor. So generally speaking, that's a master's degree for most of the colleges that we spoke to. We're sort of focusing on Bergen Community College because that seems to be the one that we have a lot of students attending, especially for our college experience. They also offer another program that I'll be talking about a little bit later. And with New Jersey Transfer, you see the link on the slide. The New Jersey Transfer allows the college credits to easily transfer amongst colleges in the state of New Jersey. Now, in order to do this, a student can take a dual enrollment course and not actually be in dual enrollment. So in order to earn the college credits, they need to have a 2.75 GPA, and they need to apply to dual enrollment through Bergen Community College. So just like all the other option 2 programs, the fees associated with dual enrollment are on the parent, the responsibility of the parent or the guardian. But you can see on this slide that free and reduced lunch students qualify for a tuition waiver, and that they are earning college credits at half the rate. So you see it's laid out there, but essentially they're paying $235 for a 3-credit college level course, and they're getting those credits. Our long-term goal is to offer college credit courses in each department. We're currently, exploring astronomy, forensics, sociology, maybe a business course. We're looking to see which teachers we have, which instructors that we have with the right credentials in order to offer dual enrollment. And then it's also an opportunity for growth, like professional development for our staff, because we're looking at the college level courses, we're looking at their syllabi, and we're going to provide the same rigor at the high school level. So this one is sort of an easy one to implement and exciting at the same time. The other programs, so dual enrollment would be part of option 2, as I mentioned earlier. I did link here, and I'll just show you really quick, a revision to our option 2 program. And I kind of listed here all the names of the programs, the description, and additional information. And each of these are bookmarked. So when you click on it, it'll take you to the description at the bottom with further information for that program. So here, college experience, that's when our students take college courses at the college. So they leave our school during the school day and they take college courses at a college. Dual enrollment would be earning the college credit, taking a high school course here at the high school. Structured learning experience, that's our unpaid internship program where our students can apply to do an informal internship. It's unpaid and learn a career. Community Service Action Program, that one I'm really excited about. That allows our students to earn credit for community service. And we all know how important community service is. And, you know, it's going to promote our community and at the same time developing those skills in our students, and they get to earn credit for it. Courses for advancement, that's when a student wants to take a course to meet a prerequisite for a course. Maybe they want to take a specific course junior year, but they don't have the prerequisite. They can go online and take that course so that way it can fit into their schedule. Courses for credit recovery, that's when a student either fails a course or then maybe there's a family emergency and they're unable to complete the course. They have the option of taking it online again, so that way they receive a passing grade and they earn the credits for it. Virtual high school is for our ambitious students who wish to take extra high school courses online and earn credits. And again, all these credits go on the student's transcript so that colleges are able to see it. Alternative PE, that is for our varsity sports players who are seniors that are either playing a varsity sport or a part of marching band and color guard. They have the option of choosing alternative PE where they do not have to physically attend a physical education class, because the thought behind it is they're achieving those minutes and that physical activity standards with the sport that they're participating in. And they also, so they don't have to attend for one marking period per season sport. So if you have, you know, if you play a fall sport, you're excused from PE for one marking period. And if you play all year round, you're excused for 3, but you cannot be excused for health. That is a mandate. You could have the option of taking online health and sort of free up a period for a year, but that's explained in the option 2 link there. And then the last option 2 program would be a teacher mentorship program. And that's sort of a teacher assistant where our students have the option of being an assistant to one of the teachers in the district. And then our last portion of our presentation are additional considerations.
So the first part are some courses that we're proposing removing from our current program of studies. You know, this obviously is not a decision that we've come to lightly, but, you know, we've been meeting with several teachers in several departments and, you know, just fine tuning what's currently offered and what we have. So the first one is desktop publishing. So this last ran during the 2016-2017 school year. You know, based on looking at it and talking to the different teachers within the department, this course is obsolete because of our graphic design and our digital photography course. I will say though that, you know, we just had a conversation again with, you know, some teachers in the department that were thinking of taking some of those skills of, you know, intro Photoshop and moving that into our middle school technology course. So that's something that we're looking to maybe take some of those elements, even though they're obsolete at the high school level, is moving them into our middle school technology options. The other course, American Government. So this last ran in the early 2000s, although a history teacher jokingly told me it last ran during the Nixon administration. This course is obsolete because of what's covered during civics in 7th grade and US history in 10th grade. All right, so and this course is last ran in the early 2000s. Advanced Art 1 and 2. This last ran during the 2013 and 2014 school year, and then after that time, our art courses were redesigned, and so our specialized upper level art courses replaced Advanced Art 1 and 2, and so now students have the option to choose ceramics, drawing, painting, sculpture, crafting, or photography at the high school level. And then lastly, Elements and Principles of Art. That is how we currently structure our art courses, and there's 2.5 credit courses that those would be made obsolete by Foundations of Art if we move forward with that course. And then, you know, just a little bit of just planning ahead and, you know, what we're thinking of doing, you know, some sooner than later and some that might be a few years down the road. The first thing is rebranding our SAT prep course. So, you know, what we found is that college-bound students are taking SAT prep, and it's a course that's showing up on their transcript. It does not fill a graduation requirement. It doesn't align with any standards. It's just preparation for the SAT. When we feel that a student, and Ms. Shanley pointed it out earlier, as she was introducing us, that, we only offer 7 instructional periods, so we feel that we could offer something more meaningful to our, our college-bound students versus, instead of SAT prep. So what we're thinking is that we'll rebrand this, offer it as a, maybe a morning, a night, or a weekend course as SAT prep courses are typically offered. And we'll obviously look first to use one of our, our own staff who is qualified to run it. And if not, we would look outside of that. And what this also does open up a period of English and one period of math, for our teachers, either to offer something else, something more meaningful, or to, if nothing else, it would just be to reduce class sizes, which again has its own merits in education. The next thing, long-term plan, would like to add an introduction to design course for our 9th graders. So our graphic and web design program is probably our most popular program at the high school. Those courses are typically 30 to 32 for every single one of them. It has an extremely high interest. So what we'd like to eventually do is have all 9th graders, they would either take band or choir, they would take foundations of art, they would take a music course, a history of popular music, or they would take maybe an introduction to design course, and they would satisfy either their visual and performing arts credits, or they would satisfy their 21st century life and career credits their freshman year. And then what that does, it opens up our upperclassmen to take things that they're interested in. Next thing is the 8th grade honor science course for the 21-22 school year. So this is something that we're going to implement for the next school year. We have 8th grade honors courses in English, in history, and in math. So we just, obviously the natural progression was that we were going to add the science. So that's something that it's already in the works, and we're already, working with the middle school science department on how that's going to look and how students will qualify. For the following school year, the 22-23 school year, we are looking at having honors courses beginning in 7th grade. So we've had some very, very early discussions on how we would, even screen for that at the elementary schools to get them into an honors track starting in 7th grade. And then the last thing that we're trying to do is to offer additional time in math and English in middle school for at-risk students. And, obviously I put the caveat there, that's going to depend on our staffing and our enrollment. And so we're going to, once we have all our requests in, which will be, going on in the next few weeks, we'll see what we can offer. Even if we could offer someone an extra 20 minutes in math or an extra 20 minutes in English, that would be something that we feel would be beneficial.
And this is the other Bergen Community College program that I mentioned earlier. So this is early career programs. And this is for students who are unsure about going to college. So they're not sure if they want to go right into a trade or a job or go to college. So our senior students would have the option of sort of trying it out. So what this early career program is you see in the middle, it says they can earn between 3 and 9 college credits. It's for our senior students. And right now, currently, there's 3 programs or 3 associate degrees that they are offering within this program. So I'm just going to quickly go through the certified logistics associate or technician. That's our manufacturing skill standards. So that's FedEx, UPS, Amazon. And, typically, so all of these end with an internship program where the student does an internship. And then there's the option of many times it turns into a full-time employment opportunity. The second one, the childhood developmental associate, that is for early childhood education. Students will earn a certificate to work in daycare or preschool teacher or child care worker. And it's the same idea. They end with an internship. They will take the CDA exam, the Childhood Developmental Associate exam, and they develop their portfolio. And then the last program that's there, the medical office assistant, that's in the health professions field, which is a rapidly growing industry. And that's managing electronic health records, ensuring that the medical office operates efficiently, and providing an overall positive experience for patients. So what we're doing is we're actually meeting with the point person at BCC for early career programs tomorrow as a follow-up meeting. We've had several meetings earlier. We're going to meet with them tomorrow. These programs are either going to take place on their Meadowlands campus or the Paramus campus. It depends on the numbers. And it's similar to our college experience program where our students leave our campus and go over to the college. So the same idea, they will attend a couple periods at our high school and then drive over to either the Meadowlands or the Paramus campus at Bergen Community College to attend these programs. It would be part of our Option 2 program where the parents or the guardians are responsible for all the fees. It does fulfill the GPA requirement, and all the application process is determined by the college. I think that's all the information for that at this time. So that's another program that we're looking to partner with BCC. And this, we just added, this is a quote by Albert Einstein: learning is an experience, everything else is just information. And when we look at our district mission statement that's on every agenda, and, it starts off with the vision of the Saddlebrook Public School System is to foster an environment that promotes academic excellence through self-directed lifelong learning. And it goes on, but I want to focus on that phrase, self-directed lifelong learning, because that's sort of that involves a whole lot. That's a very deep phrase. It's a loaded phrase. To be a self-directed lifelong learner requires commitment and dedication. And we are practicing this as a district, and we want to be able to grow our programs to provide opportunities for all of our students. We want to make sure that we're giving them that optimal learning experience so that when they leave us, they're prepared and ready for whichever direction they choose to go in. So that concludes our presentation. So thank you, Mr. Meisch and Mrs. Shanley and Mr. Crotty. What do I need to do?
I think just stop sharing your screen.
Okay, stop share. How's that? Okay, thanks.
Looks good.
So Mrs. Mahoney, would you like to see if the board has any questions for our presenters?
You're on mute.
Thank you, Mr. Karate. How many times a day do I say that to students? So, it's just bound for me to happen too.
Exactly.
So, okay, board members, does anybody have any questions? That was a lot of information and a lot of great programs coming up. I like some of those ideas. So thank you. Questions, anyone?
Hi,
Hi.
I just have a couple. So it was a wonderful presentation, and I heard you speak of college a lot during that presentation, and honors and honors classes, and where are the trades exactly? I mean, senior year, they're going out for the early career program that you were looking into, and that's for seniors. What about 9th through 11th? You're removing graphic arts, digital photo. Where are the electives for more of the trades? Everything is from the life skills. Where were those classes?
So
Being in the trades, that means a lot to me. So it's like kind of touchy with me. And I don't see a lot of courses for the kids going that way.
No, that's very fair. So what I will say is in the Option 2 program sheet that I linked on that slideshow, I ended it with Bergen County Technical Schools because I didn't want to leave them out, because I agree that's very important. So at this point, it's not part of Option 2, which is why we didn't talk about it. But if you click on that link, you'll see at the bottom, it's hyperlinked so that our families are able to see all the programs offered at Bergen County Tech. And it kind of goes through the requirements, and that's for all of our high school students. So I want to make sure I share that. I did also reach out to Capri Institute. I'm waiting to hear back from them about forming a partnership. So there's definitely some other things. I'll let DJ speak to the electives that we offer at the high school.
Yeah, thank you. So obviously, our goal is to, provide something meaningful for every single type of student. So we're not removing, those electives that we were taking out. So like, for instance, like the desktop publishing, that is not something that we're getting rid of because we're moving away from trades at all. That's actually, it's covered in our digital photography course. It's covered in our graphic design courses, which actually are some of our most enrolled courses. We actually have we have a ton of students in those courses, which, obviously have a lot of different pathways. I know just for some, we have, so just within art, we have digital photography, intermediate digital photography, commercial photography. We have painting, ceramics, sculpture, drawing, contemporary crafts. In design, we have just one second, so in business, we have like, accounting, business, 21st century careers, which obviously will cover, just a lot of different topics there. We have graphic design, fabrication design, video editing. So, we do have several of those options, for
Because
students.
those
So,
excuse me, I'm sorry. Because those classes are high in demand, do you have room for most students that want them? Or are students pushed off to the music and the arts because there's no room for them in those courses?
well, like I say, it's definitely our most enrolled course, so that's why one of the things that we want to do is eventually offer like an intro to a design pathway, just because our student requests for those courses are heavy. So that's why, it is on our radar. And, and again, to prioritize, students, again, we have several different types of students. So we want to make sure that we have different options for everyone.
Could I
So go ahead.
So I just wanted to speak to that, Michelle. Currently, we only have one teacher with the full 6-period schedule who teaches those design courses, and they are jam-packed. So one of the things, as a matter of fact, Ray and I had a preliminary budget meeting today, and I've talked to DJ and Tony about this. One of the staffing positions that we are prioritizing is an additional staff member who can teach that, because there's just not enough classes to offer all the kids. And if they take the course once and they love it and they want to take a follow-up course, there aren't enough sections. And also, I just wanted you to keep in mind that what you saw here today were really the opportunities. What you didn't see was the full program of offerings. So Tony is doing something with the program of studies, DJ is updating the program of studies, and Tony is putting all of the course offerings that we have for kids on our website. It's not live yet because it's still under construction. But that way you could see the entire scope of every course we offer. Tonight's presentation was basically the things we still need to offer, or the things that are old that we need to get rid of, or where the holes are. So you definitely missed tonight, like what all the courses are that we offer. As far as the trades go, the partnership with the tech schools is really the only way to offer the trades. Because, for example, they're not offering, let's say, the state of New Jersey. I don't know the last time they offered a cosmetology certification, for example, for somebody that we could hire. Now, if we partnered with a school like Capri could guide our students through a cosmetology program, and they don't need the same certification they would need if they were teaching it in our building. So that's why we partner with the tech schools, because they don't even make half of the certifications that we need these teachers to have to teach our kids in our building.
I understand. I just would like to see some more life skill courses in our school, some more electives that these kids could really, like they said, those classrooms are packed, and I know why they're packed is because a lot of kids aren't interested in college. I'm sorry, it's not for everybody. So I think that we need a few more electives in our school. I mean, starting at 9th grade, not at 12, where they leave to go do a job.
You make a really valid point. And this is one of the challenges that we face because we have an 8-period day. So just hear me out. A 9th grader, right, has an 8-period day. That means 7 instructional courses. They have English, math, social studies, science, gym, a world language, because they need that to graduate, and they have 1 elective. Now they have other things they need to graduate. They have personal financial literacy they need, visual and performing arts, 21st century skills, all these things that they need to take. So they get 1 elective, 1 lousy elective, 1 period. And that's a problem, because then you go sophomore year, it's the exact same thing. They need 2 years of a language. They go all those same courses, a language, and they get 1 elective. So one of the things I'm trying to do is, and it's hard to get, for example, I said this to Tony and DJ today. I said, oh my gosh, I would love to make band 8th period and have all of the marching band kids opt out of PE and have them have ninth period alternative PE so they can get an extra period in their day. I don't know if that makes sense, but there are not enough periods in the day. So even if we offered, let's say, a life skills, and I'm not quite sure what you mean by life skills. Do you mean like family consumer science, like home ec?
So I just also want to interrupt too, because I know, so Michelle, the 21st century life and careers that was on that in one of the initial slides, the state changed that. And I think that it speaks to what you're talking about here. They changed it to career readiness, life skills, and life literacies and key skills. So you're going to see, and that's very recent. So you're going to see, as we build our curricular programs, that more are going to be aligned with that strand of standards.
But it's more likely to be a technology type course.
I just know years ago, we had so many more things to choose from. We had wood shop, we had auto. I know we can't get all that back, but
Well,
a
they're
few
not
things
even
maybe we could.
graduating teachers with those certifications anymore. Because they're not in our standards anymore. And I know the value of them. I absolutely hear you and I understand the value of them, but they're not even graduating teachers with those certifications. So even if we wanted to build a gym, like an auto body shop, we wouldn't be able to find a teacher.
Well, let's post it.
Well, I would love to, but there's no standards for that.
I can chime in on that one too. Back in 2013, when I was working in a different district and I was working in central office, we had the same exact dilemma. And we, that year, no, it's 2013, Montclair State University had 2 students that they could tell us that would be graduating with a certification to do like an auto shop, a shop or class auto shop or anything like that. So that was 2013. And so if you can imagine now in 2022, it's probably even more difficult to find people with those certifications.
And I think it goes back to your point, Michelle. People who may be interested in the trades are not necessarily interested in a 4-year degree. And when you're looking for a teacher to teach something, they need to have a 4-year degree. So a 4-year degree in that something in like auto body is not necessarily, they don't necessarily go together. Mm-hmm. So what we really want the state to do is be able to afford us the opportunity to hire adjuncts the way colleges do. You know, hire somebody who's an expert in the area and could come in and work in concert with the teacher that we have, who's not sort of expert in that area, but maybe is expert in educational methods. And we've been, you know, trying for that. They offered something, a CTE certification, where they were allowing, let's say, like plumbers and masons and electricians who had a college degree who wanted to come into the schools to take some sort of like kind of crash course in teaching and actually get a teaching certification. And they invested a ton of money into it at the state level. And it really kind of fell flat because they couldn't get the applicants. And so that's kind of where we are with that. I mean, I hear you, and look, my mother's a hairdresser and my father was in sales. So I totally understand that, you know, the benefits of those fields, but right now we have to follow the path that I think Tony's following right now, which is doing what we can through like county certification programs, and allowing the tech schools to do the tech part, because they can and we can't.
With the chair. Yeah, and don't be sorry. 2 or 3 years ago, Michelle, the NJSBA at the Delegate Assembly was discussing this and trying to figure out a way, because the reality is we have too many people going to college and not enough people going into the trades. And we are getting an extreme shortage of qualified people in the trades right now. Nobody's come up with an answer, but they know it's a problem. They just don't know how to reverse it and be able to do this for the students on anything other than a large technical school zone because of the cost of it. It's a statewide, probably countrywide problem for the most part that does need to be addressed somehow, somewhere.
And also, not all the kids are able to even get into some of the tech schools. It's like a process. Some of them aren't even accepted. So you
Exactly.
offer it and they can't even get into it. So then
Exactly.
what do they do?
And that's a problem because we're not getting enough kids into them. It's a major problem right now. Hopefully somebody will figure out a way or expand the tech schools or something.
That was a piece of the early career programs. One of the reasons why we're looking into that with Bergen Community College was they don't have a minimum GPA per se for the students. They recognize that the students that would go into one of these career programs may not have necessarily the GPA, like a higher GPA. So they actually don't have a minimum GPA for that program, which we thought was a pro.
That's excellent.
Through the chair. Oh, sorry, Steve.
1 second. Sorry, I just got a question. You talked about adding the 8th grade honors science and wanting the following year to add 7th grade. Do you know what areas you were planning on starting with honors and what you anticipate growing in the 8th grade honors?
Well, if I could just say, so science currently is integrated, even though the state certificates are not integrated, they're bio, chem, physics, the state adopted standards that are integrated. So our science will be integrated science. It will not be any of the single disciplines in any of the grades, even though a chemistry class is a chemistry class, it still winds up being an integrated class. How do you teach chemistry without, even remotely tapping on biology? You can't do it.
Yeah, and we're working, right now, we're just, having discussions, with that science department to determine what the course will really look like in 8th grade. And then from there, we'll determine how we screen students to be accepted into it.
Okay, are you planning on starting with science in 7th grade too, or a different subject matter when you go to honors down to 7th?
We're still kind of, that's very early in terms of the 7th grade honor science. So, we're right for this year, we're really going to focus on what the process is for the 8th grade. And then, and obviously for screening for a 7th grade honor science, that would be really a combined effort with, Tony, myself, and, in the elementary schools as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Mrs. Otterelli.
Through the chair. To Jane Ellen and Danielle's point, I understand that it is hard to get these teachers. And I've been saying this for the past 6 years, that we do not offer enough for our kids who are not college bound. Why can't we do an alternate route? Teacher, certificated teacher.
So an alternate route teacher still has with a CE in a particular content area. So you're not just like alternate route kind of general. You have to, an alternate route teacher usually has a master's degree in the art of teaching, an MAT, and then they have an MAT in math or an MAT in science or an MAT in something else. So usually you'll find that maybe a former engineer, for example, goes back and gets another master's degree with an MAT in physics. And they have a certificate of eligibility. They've never done student teaching. You take a chance on them because they have the content. They like kids. You throw them in the classroom and you mentor them really hard for 2 years. And then they become a standard teacher. You would still need, even if you're going alternate route, somebody with a certification in a particular content area.
But
And
we
also, just to add on to that, with that CE, they need to be enrolled in a program. Because they never completed their student teaching.
And then they need to. Sorry.
As soon as you offer them a job, they then reach out to, let's say, Montclair or William Patterson, and they enroll in night school and they take 2 courses in like lesson planning and assessment, etc. And they're doing that at night. So you would need a college or university locally who is running that program at night.
But it's not impossible. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
It could possibly be an option to try to. Go ahead.
Which course in particular? Give me
Let's just, for argument's sake, say auto mechanics, because that's, I think Jane Ellen brought that up when she was saying. So we'll use auto mechanics as the example. because there are a lot of kids who become mechanics and they have to, when they leave us, seek out different types of schools. We don't prepare those kids for that. And I think we're doing them a disservice.
So, but then with the finding the teacher, which could vary, okay, let's say that person's out there, where am I putting them? Like, I don't have an auto body shop.
Well, we did have one. I don't know what shape it's in now, but we did.
Yeah, the challenge has always been for so many districts, Sylvia, and I hear you about this, because I was sad when in my own community that when that went by the wayside, is that the insurance on those programs, the technical skill set in the way our cars today are, everything is digital and computerized, and it's so advanced that it is really difficult for a lot of public schools to continue to maintain that. And I think that's why we're also starting to see programs like schools are starting up brand new. When you're driving down the Garden State Parkway towards my house, you'll see UTI on it's an auto mechanical school. So you're seeing more of those in, post-secondary programs. And I think it really comes down to what's fiscally manageable and for programs like that. And I think that's where you have seen, a lot of challenges, not just in Saddlebrook, but all across the state.
But the other thing too, is that within option 2 and within any sort of dual enrollment, if we had a student that said to us, I want to go to UTI in the afternoon and do it through option 2, we could make that work. I mean, we would look at the courses that they need to graduate, because we don't have any control over that. That's the state. And we could say to them, you could do it in the afternoon, you could do it in the morning, we could work something out. Or look, you need an English class. If you take this online English class through Eduseer and you do health and phys ed, then we can option 2 you for the rest, so that we could partner and you can go to that school. That's what option 2 allows us to do. It really opens up opportunities for kids to take advantage of things we don't have.
Like the summer camp, ship them off.
So just real quick, as far as these courses that we offer or want to offer, I would get, or even any kind of life skills, or like we were talking about these technical skills, I guess it would have to be what is the interest of the students, because you could maybe have, a whole grade 9, 10, 11, 12, and no one has interest in certain things, and you wouldn't have to run those programs. And then you have everybody wants the other programs. So I'm just curious. I know it's what we offer, and I know we ask the students, I guess they have surveys or inventories about what their interests are. And how do we plan ahead? Like, I know we have certain things we want to offer as standard, which is what we should have, our program of studies, but what if no one wants to take those classes? So what I'm saying is some of these classes that possibly just say you had auto body, just say, but no one really wanted to do it. It's a possibility. So I think a lot of it has to do with the interest, and the, what the expectations of the kids are and what they're interested in. I'm not saying no one will be interested. I'm just saying that. So so my point is, with kids moving up from the middle school into the high school, do we inventory what their interests are, so we can possibly have certain electives, maybe certain years, and be able to accommodate that? I don't know how. I know you create the program of studies, but I don't know the interest and the ability to run them. So
Naviance allows us to do that. So through Naviance, the students can take a variety of interest inventories that we can evaluate, and it could make recommendations for them based on their interests and things like that. So we absolutely do. We ask students what they want. Some of these courses have come about because, for example, a visual performing art class for the non-performer. Yeah, we have students who are like, I hate music. Why are you making me? I have to take either chorus or band or something else. So that is a course that solves a problem for us in the schedule. It's a hole in the schedule that we need to fill. So that's one. having a fourth year math course. We didn't have a fourth year math course for any student who wasn't math bound and four-year college bound and a very high level. We needed a four-year math course. Kids need to be sitting in math. And so this is the kind of math that's applicable to everyone. And if you're not going to college or you're not pursuing a math or science degree in college, you're more humanities, or you're just going into the career place, this is a good math class for you. So those were definitely holes that we saw, in places where we know we can build out. But we also don't have, anytime you offer a course, they're not taking something else. So you need to kind of go slowly and make sure that what you're going to offer, you can staff, that staff isn't going to be pulled from something else that's essential, for example, things like that. So that's, we did start with what are some of the needs, things we've seen over the past, couple of years. And when you have guidance counselors who say, I have a student who needs 2.5 credits of X and I have nowhere to put them. So we're listening to the guidance department telling us what are their struggles for staffing for the kids. But we will keep asking.
Well, with all the technology, I mean, there's no computer, put them in some kind of computer TikTok class or something?
That's what we have.
Making videos?
No, that's what we have. DJ, talk about the courses that we offer in that area.
Yeah. So I mean, we have like a TV production course, and some of those graphic design and web design courses are all about that. It's not, are you referring to like an independent study, like where they do the course kind of on their own without one of our teachers?
Well, right now they're all doing their classes on their own, basically. They're all at home on their computers. This is very hard.
What is the sequence, DJ? What's the course sequence in that department?
In that track, I mean, typically graphic design, fabrication design, and video editing, or would kind of be your starter courses, and then there's advanced levels of them. There's web design, there's advanced web desigine, and then there's TV production.
Are those the courses that are always booked up?
Those courses are, we have large enrollment in those courses.
And that's why it's a priority to hire a team with that certification.
Like a couple of classes going on at the same time, so everybody could enjoy those classes and not have to go to music.
Yeah, and that's 100% a need that we've recognized.
My kids don't want to sing.
No, but you have to take one music course to graduate. So that's why we want to offer this course, because it's a music, like a history of
it's an appreciation of music.
They don't have to sing.
Everybody listens to music, so that's kind of the rationale for that. But yeah, I mean, listen, we totally understand that we need more. We need to offer more, in those 21st century areas. So that's why I said that's one of our.
That's our top priority for hiring is a new teacher in that, an additional teacher in that department.
I didn't know if I was allowed to say that or not.
Well, it's a priority, whether or not the budget allows for it, but that's our staffing priority, is that position.
But if we're taking out some of those other programs,
those courses aren't running. The ones that we're taking out are not courses that are running. Desktop publishing hasn't run in 5 years.
Graphic arts hasn't run?
No, graphic arts is staying. That's staying.
Oh, I thought you said graphic arts and digital photo were gone.
No, no. So
sorry.
The actually graphic design and digital photography is the reason why we're getting rid of desktop publishing, because those skills are covered in both of those areas. And so that's the reason why we'll be offering desktop publishing, a version of that in the middle school.
Do we still have TV production?
Yeah, we still have it. I don't know if anybody for next year has the required prerequisites, but it is something that is in our program.
Mr. Shearer, I think you were waiting to speak.
Yes, thank you. I just want to say, thank you, Mr. Meiss. Thank you, Ms. Violetti. That was, a really fantastic presentation. I like to think I didn't graduate from Brook that long ago, but the course offerings you guys have now and what you're proposing, I'm a little jealous that I didn't go to high school then. But just the fact that you have these opportunities like the dual enrollment and your work with the credits through Bergen Community College, I think that's so important because the kids that when they do leave to go to school, if they go on to higher education in August and September, they feel ready and prepared, right off the bat, and they're not spinning their wheels in the beginning because they've had that opportunity, with those rigorous courses senior year. I personally think that's super important. So I just wanted to thank you for putting those things in place.
Is somebody going to tell them?
Thank
Your
you.
sound was going in and out, Mr. Sheriff, but we got the gist. We didn't want to stop you because it was all good.
Now, see, I'm sitting here like, why is nobody responding to me?
No, thank you.
All right.
Did you take American government?
Offered in the
That class ended with me. Year.
Through the chair. That-
Yes, Mr. Quinn.
That brings up a question. Can a student theoretically have like a full course load during the school day, say seven classes, then take a class at Bergen County at night and get the credits both for the high school and the college?
Yep.
At the same time?
The
Okay.
college credits would go on that child's transcript.
So they're not
Student's transcript.
limited just to the 7 courses.
Right.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Option 2 also allows other opportunities for advancement, summer courses, weekend courses. If they want to, take an additional course, like if, let's say you have a 3-season athlete. It's hard to get athletes not to take PE because they love it and they get A's, right? So, but if let's say you have a 3-season athlete who's a scholar athlete and wants to take another academic course, in the summer, let's say they took their health online via EduSeer, would be approved through us. Their parents would have to pay for that course, but they could take it, get their health out of the way, and then their 3 seasons of sports or athletics would count for their PE, and then they could take another class. So, we're doing everything we can to get kids to say yes to kids. That's really the goal.
Through the chair, I have 2 questions actually. Was this presented to us last year too? Same thing or no?
This? No.
Yeah, I feel like, oh, okay, I thought it was. And 2, you brought up sports. I think it's great to keep the kids here academically, but how about like Mr. Ionello over there? How about we upgrade our facilities to keep our kids here also? We're losing so many kids to other schools. Their facilities look like the palace at Disneyland. And we look like that little fort on the corner of River Road and whatever street that is.
We would all love to upgrade our facilities. And, I'm sure, as you're working within a certain budget. You can't redo the kitchen this year. I mean, we're in a situation where we just don't have a lot of money to upgrade facilities. I would, in the long term, really like to think about how we could potentially expand, the back of the high school and maybe consider doing a middle school here and possibly revamping our athletic fields with that potential, growth plan. And that would give us the opportunity to offer true middle school programming, not touch the space at Washington School, and upgrade all of our fields so that we have a little something for everybody on our property. And, moving forward, if we could get that plan developed and we could get the community to support it, we could potentially do something really grand and spectacular that does include athletic upgrades.
So if you know anybody with an extra couple million laying around that could help us out, that would be great.
How many kids a year do we lose to other schools?
Well, there are caps on how many schools, when you think of like the Bergen Academies, for example, there are caps on how many of our students they can take. They're not allowed to decimate any one school. Maybe they take 6.
No, I mean in general, how many kids do we lose to other schools going from like 8th to 9th or from 6th to
I could go back and
middle?
look at the numbers. The numbers
Well,
are
no, not the middle.
they're not tremendous.
Yeah, they're not very large at all. I'm not sure about this from 6th to 7th, but from 8th to 9th, it's usually just a handful. So I could see if I could find the exact numbers.
We could get numbers. I could follow up on that, DJ. We'll take a look at it and we'll follow up. We'll look at the past few years and let you know.
Sounds good. All right. Anybody else? Are
Chris.
we ready? Okay. We good? All right. Then I guess we'll move on. Thank you again for that presentation and all of that info and those great questions. Thank you so much. Okay, I think it is Mr. Karate. Do you have any business administrator report tonight?
Oh, nothing for this evening. I'll comment on 1 or 2 of the finance items under finance later.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, then I think it is time to look at the agenda for any discussion. Okay, so first up we have, sorry, my pages are sticking together. Okay, we have board action items B117 to B119. Are there any questions regarding anything on those items?
Kelly, are you going to open the meeting to the public for agenda items only?
Well, we open after we do all of this for public comment.
You do the
Okay.
2 on Wednesday.
Right, we do the agenda thing on, the Wednesday meeting. Okay, so any discussion on any of the board action items? I see the calendar to look at and the baseball card and stuff. Go ahead.
Through the chair, on the co-op baseball team, I know I sent my questions to you, Danielle, and you answered them. I just want to know, like, we didn't allow our cheerleaders to go to football games and they were outside, and those were our cheerleaders. And we keep talking about safety and our schools keep closing. And it's been said many times that things are getting out of control because parents don't follow protocol, kids are out partying and whatever. How do we know what this other town is doing that we're now going to mesh our kids with?
Well, look, if I can answer that, I mean, talking to the athletic director from Bogota, they're under the same types of protocols that we're under. We've all been following the NJSIAA regulations and rules to the T. It's been coming out with updates every month or so, and they've kind of broke down what we can and can't do for each sport, and each school is going to follow that. And if there is an outbreak at any one of our schools, we'll both shut down. I mean, that's just what we're going to follow. We're going to follow the health department's rules, the CDC, and, you know, our nurses will get together and communicate along with the administration, and we're going to do everything we can. Again, I think the whole night's theme was about opportunity. And I think opportunity to give our kids a chance to play baseball in the spring is something that we should look into very seriously.
Thank you, Mr. Arnell. Okay, any other questions? Are we good to move on? Okay, Education and curriculum. We have E106 to E111. Anybody have any discussion or questions on any of those items? Okay, seeing none. Let's move on to finance, budget, and facilities, F382 to 389. Mr. Karati, were there something you want to talk about on the finance or?
Yeah, we got a couple of blanks on there. F388 and 389. I'm working with Mr. Marr on finalizing the purchase or lease purchase financing of 300 Chromebooks, cases, and 5 carts from Dell. So I'll have those numbers for you sent out to you tomorrow for Wednesday's agenda. So 388, 389 is the financing portion of that with American Capital. I'm going to get the final number from them as well. And then we're putting a separate purchase on for 100 Chromebooks and cases using part of our CARES funds, mostly from, what was that? I'm sorry.
We lost you.
Oh.
We lost you. You're going to have to start over. You're finalizing with Mr. Marr.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Back from the beginning. All right. So we're finalizing the quotes for the Dell purchase of 300 Chromebooks and cases and 5 carts. I'll have the number for the board tomorrow for Wednesday's agenda. And 389 is the financing of those 300 Chromebooks and carts with a 4-year lease through American Capital. So I'll have those 2 numbers filled in tomorrow for Wednesday's agenda. Then I'm going to add 2 items. One is another purchase of Chromebooks from our CARES money. Some of the funds we've received from the state and county level. We're going to purchase another 100 Chromebooks to deal with the online learning right now because we're running a little low. So that'll be a purchase of another 100 with cases. And part of the first 2, 388 and 389, there's an amendment to the budget that the auditors usually make me do to account for the lease purchase financing of these Chromebooks. So you'll have 388, 389, 390, 391. Any questions?
Okay, thank you. All right, looks like we do not have any policy at the moment, and we do not have any negotiations. And I believe we'll be talking about personnel in closed. Okay, so do we have any other committee reports to discuss tonight? Okay.
On the budget committee, we're a little behind the 8 ball, due to the audit being late. So as Ms. Stanley said before, we started meeting this week, and I want to start setting up the budget committee to meet probably later next week. I sent an email out to try to get some times. We'll start that going. And the way the dates are looking, our board meeting is early in March. I think it's the 8th and 10th again. So we'll probably have to have a special meeting the week after, later in the week, to adopt the tentative budget because it's due to the county office on March 22nd. So it just gives us a little more time to work on the budget.
All right. Thank you.
Hi. Can you do me a rock solid favor?
Sure.
Molly's stranded at Bloomfield High School.
Ellen, mute yourself.
Sorry.
Sorry. I thought you were talking to Rick.
Yeah, so you wanted me to go pick her up.
Pick them up if you'd like.
Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, thank you so much. Do we have any correspondence? Old business.
I just have a question.
Sure.
It was in reference to last month about when the kids are going to be allowed to come back. Parents had opted out. Are their kids going to be allowed to come back? I believe I asked this last month. You would have an answer, but
We were allowing the students who opted out for Thanksgiving through Christmas to come back, but we weren't adding to our numbers yet because, well, right now we're shut down. So, but we could talk about that when we go into closed, where we are with that.
Thank you. Do we have any new business? All right, then it is time to open the meeting for public comment. While I am reading my statement, if you could go to the participants, if you are interested in speaking, and at the bottom, you'll see a little thing that says raise hand. So that is how you will be recognized to speak tonight. Residents are requested to state their names, addresses, and subject matter. In the event it appears the public comment portion of the meeting may exceed 45 minutes, the presiding officer may limit each statement made by a participant to 5 minutes duration. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged and will not be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in light of the legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments and be aware that they are legally responsible and liable for their comments. Also, just a quick note, this is open public comment. This is your time to be heard and for us to hear from you. In order to have all of the time allotted, we will not be responding after each person. So if you have questions, we will be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, so thank you. All right, may I have a motion to open the meeting for public comment?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Okay, we are now open. Mr. Karate.
Yes, we have Amy Higgins.
Hello, Amy Higgins, 228 Saddle River Road. I'm here tonight to ask the Board of Members to not renew the superintendent's contract. I've had children in the district for many years and have seen superintendents come and go, and I don't feel that she is a good fit for our school district. Speaking from personal interactions from last year, when we as parents were treated the way we were treated while we were trying to figure out plans for our seniors, she kind of caused things to get ugly and out of control because she would not allow an opinion that was different from hers, was condescending, lied a little bit to us, acting as a narcissist would. Many people didn't get to see this because this was done through emails back and forth. And she would not listen to what we had to say. And when she did, she'd make us wait for an answer and even presented some of the ideas that we presented to her as her own. She's only looking for herself. She doesn't have the best interests of students, staff, or parents at heart. She rules through fear. The staff is afraid to speak because they fear for their jobs and are leaving in droves. Parents are afraid to speak because they fear that it will affect their children. So after being contacted over the past few weeks by many people in town, I'm here to remind the board members that you are there because you were elected by the people of Saddlebrook to represent us. And until you have heard from all of us, you should think about what you are doing. If there is a way that parents and staff, not just teachers, but all that work for the district, could be able to give their opinion without fear, that is what you should be trying to accomplish and take their opinions into consideration. Most of all, ask yourself this: what has she actually done to improve the district? Cut programs, cut busing, cut camp, and let's not forget the whole before-after care fiasco. Our test scores are in the toilet. Don't settle on keeping her because you're looking for a new superintendent will take more time. Things are spinning out of control. We should just cut our losses and try to rebuild. Be remembered as the Board of Education members who took a stand and tried to do what was best for our school district rather than those who fed the ego of somebody ruling the district like a tyrant. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Barbara Derridorian.
Yes, Barbara Derridorian, 154 Cambridge Avenue, Saddlebrook, New Jersey. I found my interactions with the superintendent to be very unprofessional. we had an issue and she dealt with it, was very aggressive and really honestly didn't communicate very well. I've heard the issues about the after-school program, which has been a disaster. And from what I've understood about that whole situation, she drove those issues. So I don't think her contract should be renewed either. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak tonight?
I don't see any other hands up right now.
Looks like
We
Mrs.
have
Lamboy.
somebody labeled iPad backup.
Oh,
You're on mute.
you're
You're on
muted.
mute, Sarah.
We
Did
still
you call
can't
up
hear
her?
you, Sarah.
Sorry,
There
102,
you go.
Sarah Milnicki, 102 Claremont Ave. I apologize, I can't figure out how to rename my iPad. I just want to reinforce what the other two people have said. I just feel, are we truly better almost 3 years later? I really don't think so. Morale on a whole is low with the teachers. Teachers and parents are very fearful of retaliation if they come forward and complain. I have people coming to me and asking me to speak for them. I've had people ask me to come sit with them at meetings and literally hold their hand because they're afraid. And teachers, I feel, have been leaving in the middle of the year and leaving in droves and going to other districts. And I want Saddlebrook to be good. I want things to be on the upswing. I want things to get better. We worry about the kids' SEL learning, but I feel, are we doing anything for the staff? And like Ms. Higgins said, the test scores are not improving, and I don't fully believe in test scores, but I know most people do look at test scores, and I don't feel like they're, on the upswing or anything. And I've also had my personal dealings with her from being with the PTO, from having to cancel contracts on vendors last minute, which I did not think was fair. It was not, a school district wouldn't do that. I think we should have been given some leeway for things like that. No room for negotiations. I once said the word Christmas tree and I practically had a hand in my face because I said I put up a Christmas tree for something with the teachers with non-denomination snowman ornaments. One time in a meeting with her afterwards, she asked to keep me on over 45 minutes. Most of it was to discuss my Facebook posts that she tells me she receives all the time. And, I just feel like anything I've said immediately gets met with hostility because I do try to come and speak up. And I just, in light of football, I'm going to give you a little metaphor. Bill Belichick is a successful coach. He has 6 Super Bowl rings. However, he is known as the most feared and intimidating coach out there. And his star players left his team last year and they went on. And in fact, one came out of retirement, and we all know where this went yesterday. Tom Brady dominated, taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from a losing record last year to Super Bowl champions. So when the star players left, they found success in other districts, in other teams. And where did Bill Belichick sit? He didn't even make the playoffs this year. Please, I'm asking you, reconsider and think about the children of this district. They deserve better. They deserve a leader. Our staff supports our children. They deserve to not be feared, to live in fear in this school district. Thank you.
Next, we have Emily Sycamatellis.
Hi, Emily Sycamatellis, 86 Bell Avenue. How do the district and board goals apply to the special education population, especially the students who have missed the benefit of all the programs mentioned tonight? I'm just really concerned because I don't know how this equity is evidenced on a student level and how does it translate from paper to practice. I just feel that, although the presentation was great, I don't think that these children are going to be successful in the high school. Their foundation is deficient at the very least. And I know that this is a crazy year, but I'm really tired of hearing the COVID, cover up the excuses about COVID when a resource class didn't have math for 5 weeks. I understand it falls within the loopholes of the state because I called to verify. And yes, you're allowed to have a sub for 39 days, which is sad because they're resource kids, but they need instruction. And I'm still waiting for an answer to find out how we're going to remediate this and help these children bridge this gap that is growing bigger and bigger between special ed and general ed. The program was completely trimmed down. It was deficient to be at the very least. So now we have these children that are not getting the support they're needing. The IEPs are getting cut off. And then what happens to them? They're just sort of like in limbo, being frustrated and not being able to perform in a general ed class. So bring them into a high school with these programs that are geared towards honor students, you're going to have a lot more delinquents. And I don't see how this is being addressed. How are you going to fix that part?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Beth Lamboy.
Hi, Beth Lamboy, 138 Skillman Terrace. I have to disagree that the district isn't going in the way we need it to go. I've seen a lot of improvement within district. And while I don't always 100% agree with the way some things are done or decisions are made, and maybe some things could have been handled differently, I don't think it's fair to say that Mrs. Shanley is not doing what she's proposed to do, or that the board is not doing what they're proposed to do. I honestly believe that every person that serves on a board to put up with the amount of abuse that you guys do put up with is, I would think, in it for the right reasons, which is our kids. I see a lot of positive change in direction and communication from the administration. At the middle school, high school alone, on the PTO, between the PTO and the administration and the staff, it's changed considerably over the last several years. Communication coming from the superintendent's office has dramatically improved. Matter of fact, I can honestly say that years past, when we turned over a superintendent, every year, every 2 years, they had great plans. Nobody stuck around to implement them. Change is hard. The only way to grow the district is to embrace change, and it's uncomfortable for people. Nobody really enjoys change, but the only way for the district to grow is to have some change. So I think you have to bear that in consideration. And I would not propose to speak on behalf of how teachers feel or how other staff feel, because that's not something as a parent or as a PTO person, I would think that I would have the ability to know that. If the teachers have something to say, I would think that they would be able to speak up and say that. And going forward with the COVID issues, the teachers have been doing a phenomenal job. The boards, everybody's been doing a phenomenal job. And I don't know where else to go with that, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have James Maniscalco.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
James Maniscalco, 20 Dana Way. Just want to start by saying I thank you, Amy, for pretty much saying everything I was going to say. Amy Higgins. I'm not going to repeat what she said already. I agree with her 100%. I've had my dealings with the staff as well as the Board of Ed members. So I do agree that there needs to be, although we've had to change over the various superintendents over the year, I still don't think we have the right fit right now. As far as where the school's going with these programs, talking about this new program we have out, it seems like we're becoming an art and music school more than anything, where we do need to bring back the basics to these students. Yeah, we had a shop, we had a STEM program, which is still a thorn in my side with what we did to the STEM program, what we did to that particular teacher, what we did to the particular lab that was built was totally, I feel, more vindictive than anything. And I think we need to bring back the basics to these kids. We're teaching them art, music, and what else are we teaching them? We need to bring back the basics. Kids need to be able to change a car tire. They can't. I went to school with woodwork, with mechanics. I've had it in my school. We don't have it here. And I think we need to figure out a way to bring it back. And also, you know, we have teachers for that. Second item I heard about was about getting teachers with college degree backgrounds so they can teach college courses in our school. We don't have a budget now. How are we going to pay for that additional that additional salary for those two teachers that are going to be teaching college courses? They're going to be getting paid more money, I would assume. Why not just send them to college? Let the kids have the opportunity to go to a college. My son's last year in the school, he attended, I don't know, I think he was in class for an hour and a half in the school for an hour and a half. Then he went to Bergen Community. His last year, he felt was useless. He didn't get anything out of his last year in high school. I don't think we should be having kids leave the school like that. My son's not going to be a mechanic. My son's going to be a police officer, different animal. I'm not saying we need to have that, but that's what his goal in life is. That's what he's going to be. But I don't think right now, the way I see the school, and I think the arts and the music program is awesome. I think what Ortega and Kuden does, it's a beautiful program. But it seems like that's what we're pushing for, that we want to be an arts and music school. I think we need to broaden that up a little bit. Next topic is special needs. I've had my differences in the past, and it's still not 100%. There's still not 100% communications with kids that are out of district. We thought about bringing my daughter back, and I'm glad we didn't. It's sad to say, I'm glad I did not bring my daughter back because the school cannot handle it. We can't. The administration can't handle it. We're not, and that's a problem. So we need to make changes. There's, in my mind, there's several changes that need to be made with both staffing and a Board of Ed members. I don't see it that way. Getting onto the topic of the gym program. All the years my son has been in that school, he was playing soccer for all his years. Every time he went to gym, he would sit there and do nothing. It doesn't make sense. Let's figure out something to fix that. And now we want to intermingle with another school. We need to get our sports in order before we start going to another school. Before we start co-eding, doing a co-op with Bogota. Let's get our school in order and get it fixed before we start adding more problems into our school. We're saying we don't have enough room. Our fields are horrible. Why are we adding to it? Let's fix what we have now and get that running first before we add to it. I just don't understand where we're going with it. So, but I do think we need to take a step back and figure out how we're going to get this school to be a little bit more than just the arts and music program, because that's what I see. That's what I've seen over the last few years. It's all about arts. There's no other programs. We got rid of the STEM program. Clearly, we got rid of the room. We spent money on a room that are we using? I don't see it. So, again, I'm going to just, go back and say, I agree with Amy 100%. And those else, those all individuals that spoke as well, I'm not going to repeat it, but that's where I stand. So I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Anthony Bello.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, folks, for taking my call here. So I want to go on a different tangent here. I'm just curious of why the schools remain to be open now. I know they're closed until the 15th, but I'm just curious of why they continue to stay open for 2 days a week of virtual classing when the virus isn't going away, as we know. Vaccinations are scarce, and you still have children, teachers, et cetera, getting ill. And you also can, obviously, they could be super spreaders that can bring these things home to other families. And now, granted, my child has been virtual since day one, and I'm in the medical profession. So I kept it that way. And I'm not telling other parents what to do in terms of that. But as a district, and what I see from day in and day out in my field, I just still don't understand why it would be in the best interest for all, I think, to just stay closed and virtual until the time is right when we can open and provide safety to, again, your staff, your teachers, your children, and again, people on the outside as well.
Okay, thank you.
Can I have any type of response to that? I mean,
Not right at this second, possibly when we close the public comment portion.
okay, I mean, again, I just feel that, I see it. I've been in the hospitals, working in ICU and the ERs. And, it's different for the layperson who doesn't see it day in and day out. And they just say, okay, we have to get the kids in school, whether there's no babysitting, whether there's no one else to watch them. But when you're talking about people's lives here, and I've personally, we've had friends who've been lost to this. And I really think this should be looked at a little bit more of a fine tooth comb and look at the big picture and all this, because the year has been lost as it is. We've seen, my daughter graduated high school last year here in Saddlebrook, and half of the year was ruined because of this. And a lot of parents, I'm sure, were in the same boat. And I really think that we have to look at it from a different perspective in terms of health care and in terms of what we need to do to keep people healthy and to keep this virus at bay, because we see that, obviously, as you know, it's not, like I said, going away anytime soon. And until there's vaccinations for all, especially the teachers, they should be top priority, be vaccinated, because they are, they're on the front line as well as I am every day. And again, you don't want to leave them exposed and leave the children exposed as well. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next, we have Lacy, Fitzgerald, Trongo.
Hi, Lacy Trongo, 186 Colonial Ave. I just kind of wanted to echo some of the sentiments that a few of the parents had said before. Whereas I do agree with that, change isn't easy and that we need someone that's going to stick around to implement those changes, because our town needs to start going in a better direction. Our kids deserve it. There's no reason for our schools to not be rated better and not to be as competitive as the surrounding towns. However, I have had personal conversations with staff members, people in town, teachers, that do feel uncomfortable, that do feel a fear of retaliation or punishment if they stand up for things, or if they think that something isn't going the way that they want it to, or that they want to make suggestions or just conversations. And so if Ms. Shanley is being considered for a new contract and a 5-year contract, which I think from what I'm hearing from other people is a long contract, that this is something that I hope is taken into consideration, that these are the people that really are keeping our schools afloat, that our kids go to see every day. And we need to have a happy, healthy work environment for these educators and for the other staff members, because if we don't have that, then we're not serving our kids best in any way, shape, or form in terms of their education or their social and emotional health. So I really hope that if this is something that goes forward, that this is something that is taken into consideration, not taken as an insult or not taken lightly, but taken as something that really needs to be considered and understood. Also, I just had a quick question or comment about the presentation before, which I think was great. I think that a lot of people agree and feel the same, that that's especially great for the high school. I just wanted to see if there's what type of support system there is for the kids, especially the ones that aren't going to be going to those 4-year colleges, that might not necessarily know what their options are. So it's saying, if a student is interested in going to someone said UTI, or like a Lincoln Tech or a Capri Institute, like if there isn't already a relationship that's established there with the school that's being put out, how are these students going to know that they have these options? What is the relationship like with the, oh my God, my brain just stopped, with the guidance counselors? Because I know that when I was in school, we had basically a non-existent, and in Saddlebrook, we had a non-existent relationship with our guidance counselors. We maybe met once every blue moon and had some type of superficial conversation. And I really hate to say that, but that was the experience that I walked away with. So I'm just hoping that there is something that's already implemented, if not maybe something to think about of how to get this information to these kids, so that there's something that they can think about, so that they don't just think that the four-year college is their only option, or that they have those options. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think next it's Sarah Milnicki again, right? The iPad backup.
Yep, thank you. I just have something some people asked me to read. Sarah Milnicki, 102 Claremont Ave. Dear board members, we are contacting you as a group of concerned parents speaking out on behalf of our children and their teachers. As you decide on the contract for the leadership of our schools, we ask you to put aside your personal motivations and your bias and remember your position. Your promise to the people of our community, and more importantly to our students, is to look out for their best interest. Their best interests aren't served by leadership uninterested in collaboration with the people who are actually with the children day to day. The children's best interests are served by leadership that supports teachers so that they can better support our children. Teachers in our district, not administrators, have the most profound and direct impact on our children. And many teachers in this district are alienated and do not feel supported. Teachers in this district are, by and large, afraid of retaliation and afraid to speak out against our superintendent. If you're considering extending another contract to our current superintendent, please ask the teachers. Ask the teachers who feel that their opinions are invalid. Ask the teachers who have been lectured about servant leadership only to see its principles directly contradicted. Ask the teachers who feel that their mental health has been questioned for admitting to having anxiety related to teaching during a pandemic. Ask the teachers anonymously if they support offering another contract to Mrs. Shanley. And if you don't want to ask the teachers, ask the parents. Ask the parents who currently have children in district. Ask the parents of the children who relied on bus services that were cut. Ask the children whose beloved teachers, principals, and school staff have been fired or chased away for not falling in line. Ask the parents who relied on the camp that was run by trusted teachers if they are happy with the changes. Ask the families who have had their childcare programs upended repeatedly. Ask the school secretaries and aides. Tell them you won't reveal their names. Ask them how they feel. Better yet, ask the recently retired staff if they feel respected by Mrs. Shanley in the workplace. Dig before you decide. Promise the people you're asking that their identities will be protected, because some are afraid, and then see what truths come out. Perhaps there is a district for which Mrs. Shanley is perfectly suited. Perhaps Saddlebrook just isn't that district. Judging by the morale decline that has happened among our staff since Mrs. Shanley took over, please ask the teachers, ask the quiet ones, and please remember that your only allegiance in your position should be to the students and to our schools. Sincerely concerned parents. Thank you.
Thank you.
I currently don't see any more hands up. Anybody wishing to address the board? Oh, we got one more, Christina DePerry. Right, Christina DePerry.
Good evening. Michelle, I want to thank you for bringing up your concerns for the non-college bound student. That is very important. And I think that as an elected board member, you need to continue to advocate for all of our students, whether they are college bound or vocational school. That is very important. I know that Saddlebrook has been searching for a superintendent for many years, and I'm sure that we are all eager to find, hire, and secure somebody that is appropriate for the job. And I think that's what is happening now with the renewal of Ms. Shanley's contract. But I do believe that that would be a disservice to the district. We are in the middle of a pandemic, and I keep hearing that she has made such great improvements in the district. What is this actually based on? There was no state testing last year, so it can't be the testing scores. Students are working at home independently, teaching themselves and doing their work. The test scores on report cards are probably not valid because students are working in cohorts at home, so they're probably working with each other. There is a lack of improvement in buildings, grounds, and the fields. And now we hear of cutting classes and electives to have a more college-geared academic avenue. Our teachers and administrators have been leaving in a wave to go to other districts where they are appreciated. I really think that you need to consider your decision this evening. Board members are elected every 2 years, and there's a reason for that. Sometimes things change, people change. If you give Ms. Shanley a 4 or 5 year contract, whatever it is, some of you may not even be here, but she will be. Please do what is best for our district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jane Ellen.
Thank you, Mr. Karate. Before I begin, I want to thank Mr. Maish and Mrs. Violetti tonight. As a fellow administrator, I was really excited to hear about the curricular offerings that they talked about for our middle school, high school, and that we're really starting to see our vision for our students come to fruition. And that I'm just very, very excited about these developments for our learners. I wrote down a few things because I think I need to clarify. I'm hearing some false equivalencies in some of the public comments tonight. I heard that our test scores haven't gone up under Mrs. Shanley's leadership. But as you just heard, we haven't had a second year of testing. We've only had one. So there's no means to measure whether or not our students are doing better. And I wouldn't think any huge gain is made in 1 year. What we're looking for our Saddlebrook students, this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. We have a lot of changes that need to happen, but we also have constraints in Saddlebrook that are very common in every school district in New Jersey. Whether Mrs. Shanley was our superintendent or whether somebody else was, these would be the same exact set of challenges. We have seen improvements to our elementary school program in terms of curriculum and instruction. Earlier tonight, this is just another something I think was a misperception. We talked about eliminating courses, but you also heard the word obsolete said in those presentations. Those were courses that we're not actually having students sit in. We're not eliminating something that's future bound. We're eliminating something that hasn't been a course offered or haven't had students sit in a course like that in over 5 years. So I think we have to make sure that we understand that. We are not going back to 20th century modes of teaching. This is 2022, friends, and I mean that with all the due respect, and I value all of those non-college bound offerings as well. But we need to be innovative and we need to pivot just like we have been doing during the pandemic. I also, I wanted to say that when I speak to you tonight regarding my perception of Mrs. Shanley's leadership as our superintendent, I do that with over 20 years experience as a school principal and almost 30 years in education. When I arrived here in Saddlebrook in 2015, we were not meeting state expectations for CUSAC whatsoever. Our curriculum guides were completely out of compliance. And I think honestly that Dr. Katz worked so hard to take those next steps, but we really needed a leader to come into our district to help us make those gains, and Mrs. Shanley has done that. And some of you, I know you may not feel like you can see that because it's the work that is happening at our level and it's work being done with teachers. But she has helped us to revise curriculum across the board, infuse more technology into teaching and learning. And at the same time, we had such rapid turnover. In my first 2 years as a principal in this district, I had 4 superintendents, including myself as an acting superintendent. And as an administrative team, we saw rapid turnover in that time period. Mrs. Shanley has done tremendous work to build the teamwork within our current administrative team. And we are building momentum. Like I said, we're making huge gains in terms of curriculum resources for teachers and students. Our teamwork has been, this is the best teamwork I've had in an administrative team that I've worked for in 20 years of my career as a school leader. She encourages us to be innovative, to take opportunities, to not be afraid to take risks or bring in a new program. She truly cares about the whole child. All of our social, emotional learning and mindfulness programs are something that she sparked that interest in it. And then you see somebody like Mrs. Violetti continuing to champion it for our district, because she's always thinking long range and from a visionary perspective. And that's what we need for Saddlebrook students. And we know that our school financing sometimes is a challenge, but she's always thinking about where can we be in 2 years from now, 5 years from now, where do we need to be 10 years from now? And she does that with consistency, reliability, and those are hallmarks of her leadership. You see, as an administrator who works close to her, I get a very, very unique perspective, because a superintendent has to have a 10,000-foot view. And I truly do respect that some of you have that, you're looking at this from your own unique lens. And that is to be expected. But Mrs. Shanley is constantly working for every school, build consistency across the district. And her dedication during the pandemic has been unbelievable. She is with us, rolling up her sleeves, working with us around the clock. And relationships are important to her as well. I personally have seen in my own experience in my school with students and teachers and with my own health concerns, she cares about people. She doesn't just help you in the immediate moment. She circles back days later, weeks later to check in on you. It really, really is difficult sometimes to watch the way individuals in a community can have a false perception of somebody when working so closely how truly dedicated they are. It's just, we are building so much momentum working with her as an administrative team, just from my own perspective. And I know that she has the best interests of Saddlebrook at heart and the students at heart. Some of the things that I think that you've all had difficulty with is because we needed to do such rapid change. She's helping us to move the district forward. We want to continue to build on that momentum and keep the district on an upward trajectory. And I really hope that that's where we will land with her in that leadership position to help us get there.
Thank you.
Thank you. I had somebody up there, but their hand's down now. Anybody else wishing to speak? Oh, we got mom's phone. It's not my mom.
Jennifer, it's Jennifer Tedesco, 250 South Lanza Court. I got on here a little late, but I'm trying to find out if there's any talk or plans about adding any additional days for these kids to go back to school. I don't think this whole homeschool thing is, for my children anyways, not working in a lot of different aspects, but I haven't heard anything from Ms. Shanley as far as the plans of trying to get into phase 3. So does anyone have any feedback on that?
Possibly after we close for a comment.
Okay, and then what, that'll be, I guess, eventually disclosed to parents, hopefully soon? Because not all parents want their kids home.
Correct. I hear you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak? I don't see any others. Ms. Mahoney, all right?
Okay.
We got Amy Higgins again.
Amy Higgins, 228 Saddle River Road. I just had a comment about the trade school. My daughter graduated in 2015 and the guidance department discouraged her from going to trade school. She wasn't a great student in high school. So I'm thinking you guys owe me about 12 grand because I did send her to Bergen and she didn't do well there. And I wound up finding her a trade school and she went to school for 9 months, graduated, got an awesome job in a doctor's office and is debt free. And I don't want to say I am thankful to Saddlebrook because we tried to get her in a trade school and they discouraged her not to. So if you could do whatever you can to get these kids involved and interact in a trade school, because even some of the degrees that they're going to four-year colleges for, they can go to a trade school and half the time in minuscule debt, get a job and function in society instead of coming out of school $120,000 in debt and not finding a job. So your step one is to make sure that your guidance department is encouraging these children to pursue that aspect and don't discourage them like my daughter was discouraged. So if you could do that, I think you'd have a great set of kids getting into the job market. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
All right.
Anybody else, Ms. Mahoney?
Anybody else? Then can I make a motion to close the meeting for public comment?
Motion.
Second.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. We are now closed for public comment. And I believe it is time to make a motion to go into closed session.
Through the chair, Kelly, before we go into closed,
Sure.
I just want to say, I really want to give a shout out to our custodians and maintenance crew who have been phenomenal with all of the snow and keeping up on top of it. And during the pandemic with everything they're dealing with, I just want to give a shout out to you guys and know I appreciate you.
Yes, they've had a lot of work over the last last week or so, and from what I'm hearing, more to come. So I thank them as well. Thank you, Mrs. Otterly.
I have to agree with Sylvia because I drove by the day after the storm and everything was perfectly cleared. It looked gorgeous.
You didn't know it snowed on school property.
Kelly, before we go into close, did you want me,
Sure, I wasn't sure if you wanted to, you didn't unmute. So if you would like to address anything, please.
Okay, so we're closed for public comment?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to address a few of the comments that were made in reference in particular, like to the program and presentation tonight that might have been incorrect. And I just wanted to clarify, we do still have a STEM program. We have a very active STEM program and great science classes and technology classes and like the courses we were talking about that Mr. Shallcross teaches that are packed to the gills. So we do absolutely positively have a STEM program. Repurposing a room is not the same thing as eliminating a program. We are only offering one new music class, and that one new music class is for graduation requirement for students who are not musicians. We are certainly not turning the school into an art and music school, although I love art and music. We're revamping the art program because of a one-year art requirement. So students have a fine and performing art requirement. We're just creating one class that meets that requirement and offering one music class that meets the requirement for students who are not performers, not singers, and not players. Any college courses that we talked about offering for dual enrollment, I'll give you an example. Let's say it was a psychology course, for example, and Mr. Meisch taught psychology. So he would teach the course in the high school, and it would be counted as a high school psychology course. But that student, if they wanted to, could also, let's say, earn 3 college credits of Introduction to Psychology. I don't have to pay Mr. Meisch any more money. It's a course he's already teaching. He's probably excited about the opportunity to teach a dual enrollment course because then he knows students in his class are really excited and motivated to earn those college credits. If the student and the family wants to purchase those credits from Bergen Community, it would probably cost less than $300, less than $100 a credit for those courses. So it's not costing the district anything to offer dual enrollment. It's a little legwork on our part to make it happen, to find the right teacher, to pair the right teacher with the right course, to take a close look at our curriculum and make sure it meets the criteria. But it does nothing but help the students. It's completely optional, and it allows students to leave our school with some credits under their belt, maybe opens up their program when they leave us. I just wanted to clarify that there is no cost in that for us. As far as the co-op goes, the reason that we are asking the board to consider the co-op for our baseball team is because we do not have enough baseball players to field the team. We are asking not because we want to focus on doing something with someone else. We're asking because we have seniors and juniors and sophomores, handful of each, even freshmen, who desperately want to play baseball, and we don't have enough students to field the team. And Bogota is in the same position. So it was something that we did with our wrestling program a few years back, and over time built up the program. And now our wrestling team is on its own. It's no longer a co-op. So that's why we're doing the co-op. And that's important to know. We're doing it because we have kids who are interested, and we don't want to see them hurt, and we don't want to see them without a place to play. And lacrosse, it seems to be tapping into, or lacrosse club teams seem to be dipping into baseball playing. And this is a problem that a lot of schools, smaller schools, are seeing all over the place. Lacrosse kids are being pulled for traveling county and club teams. And we do not have enough students who want to play lacrosse to field our own team. So we reached out to all the schools in Bergen County to see if there wasn't a school that might be interested in helping us co-op for lacrosse. When you're a small school, sometimes you have to build these programs. At this point, we do not have anybody who is interested in co-oping with lacrosse, or they're already part of a co-op. There are actually quite a few schools who are already part of a lacrosse co-op, and the NJSIAA doesn't allow a threesome for a co-op. They only allow two districts to come together. We talked about the potential of offering different programs for different students. One of the other programs that we didn't mention tonight, because it's not on the immediate radar, but I do think it's worth mentioning, is the potential of possibly offering a junior ROTC program within the district. We do have some students who are interested in the armed services. We have some students who may not be interested in the armed services, but however, ROTC opens up academic opportunities and leadership opportunities for students and scholarship opportunities for students. And that is something that we, would need to look into a little bit more closely, because we need space. But like I mentioned at the end of the presentation, should we have the opportunity to maybe build on to the school and do some sort of an addition and renovation, we might be able to utilize maybe the auxiliary gym or something like that for ROTC. There are options. It's in the very infancy of even just thinking about it. There was conversation and questions about meeting the needs of students with disabilities. One of the things that Dr. Reisenauer, Mrs. Cawley, and I are working on is developing a program for students on the autism spectrum at the middle high school, so that we can better serve the needs of all of our students in district, in their neighborhood school with their peers. So that is something that we are definitely working on. And the presentation tonight, for those of you who are paying attention, wasn't all about college. It was about opportunities. And you have to understand that if we don't have opportunities for our students, they will look to go elsewhere. Why can't we offer students the opportunity to take advantage of those high-level courses that other schools have that we don't have? That doesn't mean that we can't also provide CP courses. That doesn't mean that we can't also provide electives, but things, for example, like the trades no longer have, state certifications for teaching. So it does become very difficult. Mr. Bello asked about, and it's interesting because Mr. Bello asked, whether or not it wasn't safer just to keep schools closed. And then it was followed up by Mrs. Tedesco, who wanted to know when are schools going to be fully open, because the stay-at-home thing really isn't working. And that's just an example of the kind of spectrum that we are dealing with at the decision-making level. So to Mrs. Tedesco's question, and I think Mr. Accomando asked too, at what point are we bringing kids back, more kids back? Well, I guess the board would need to agree that we're not going to abide by the 6-foot distancing for that to happen. So the New Jersey guidance for reopening says we have to maintain 6-foot distance whenever possible. So times when it's not possible might be like on a bus. Times when it's not possible might be like on a fire drill. Times when it's not possible might be in passing in a hallway. So we do everything we can to minimize or mitigate risk during those activities. But if it's in a classroom and 50% of the students are in the classroom and they're at a 6-foot distance, and I bring all the students back, they're at a 2.5 to 3-foot distance. So in order for us to bring back more students to the school, I need the board to tell me that we're going to violate the guidance from the New Jersey Department of Education. And I don't think they're ready to do that. So, and then on the other end, you have people who say teachers haven't been immunized. Teachers are at risk, right? I understand that. I appreciate that. But, and why aren't all the schools closed? And then people said, you can't close the school. I have to go to work. I need my children to go to school. Or they say, it's not healthy for my children to be home. They need socialization. I want my children in school. Or they say, children don't pass the disease the way adults do. Children should be in school. These are the conflicting, the two opposite ends of the spectrum. So what we try to do is we try to get as many students in the classroom as possible. And it's something I'm going to speak to the board about because it may impact the community if we were to go in this direction. If, for example, because I have so many high school students who are home, we could potentially bring the high school students back, but not necessarily the middle school students because I have more of them in the classroom, and not at the elementary level because I have the most of them in the classroom. So would the community be happy with having a different schedule for the high school than we do for the middle school and the elementary school, so that I could bring all the high school kids back as often as possible? And I could do that and I would appease this group of people, and this group of people would be very unhappy. So it's very difficult. And I realize that, hindsight is 20/20. We could look back on any decision we've ever made and second guess it. As a parent, as a spouse, as a daughter, as an administrator, as a friend, I can look back on lots of different things I would have done differently or I would have said differently. But we have to make a decision, and I'm the one who does it. So I understand that people are not going to be happy with my decisions. And the board is sometimes, half of them are happy, half of them aren't, half of them agree, half of them don't. Sometimes they all agree, sometimes none of them agree, and I change my decision. But I have to follow the guidelines of the State Department of Education when it comes to distancing and when it comes to keeping kids safe. And I have to do my very best to try to educate the kids in the middle of this insanity. So I am sorry that parents aren't happy with the setup. I don't think there's any ideal setup. I'm not happy with my daughter's school setup. It's just, I think that's just, we want it to be normal again, and it's not. And we want immunizations faster, and they're not here. And we don't want to have to be in this situation, but unfortunately, we are. Another parent asked about how do the students get to know this information about the new program? In a multitude of ways. The first way is through a well-developed program of studies. So it can be in paper form, which is very archaic. It could be digitally on the website, which Mrs. Violetti has a construction page under construction right now where she could provide a digital program of studies to the students so that the students can see everything that is available to them. They can see what option 2 is all about, etc. Then they have conversations with guidance counselors. We have presentations where Mr. Meisch, the guidance counselors, and Mrs. Violetti talk to the students, be it digitally or in the auditorium, depending upon what phase of the pandemic we're in, and they explain to them what's available to them. When I first came here, students were leaving the school half of a day to go to work and deliver pizza. So we're putting an end to that. That is not career development. So the only way students really leave school now is for other school, is for other bona fide learning, for career shadowing, or for anything that is legitimate bona fide learning experience. I don't care if it's tech, I don't care if it's trades, any of that counts. Even if it's service, it counts. So we've expanded option 2 to meet the needs of as many students as possible, and we will be pushing that very hard. We will be pushing option 2 very hard because that's the personalized learning piece. And that's the piece where kids come to us and they go, I have a great idea. I would like to try this. And we're all about supporting that. We're not cutting classes, okay? We are eliminating things that are obsolete. Please don't think we would ever get rid of a course that students are interested in, that they love, and that is running. That is not happening. We're just eliminating stuff that's junk, basically. That's old, untouched, unloved, useless courses. And I think that that is all I have in my notes, and I thank you.
The chair. I could.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
My point wasn't to violate any type of rule or law. So for you to insinuate that it's asinine,
I wasn't suggesting.
maybe pay attention to the question. It was to just inform the parents of what was going on moving forward.
Right.
It was asked 6 weeks ago. So it was a little condescending the way you responded to that, and I wasn't really happy with it.
I apologize. I apologize if that's what you heard. What I was trying to say was that we can't put more students in the classroom unless we're violating a 6-foot rule. And what I said was, I don't think the board is ready to do that. That's what I said. I don't think the board is going to support violating the guidance from the state. And I would think that that's true.
So I just have to say that's not technically true. Plenty of schools are open and you are allowed to seat students closer than 6 feet apart. That if you go to the NJ guidance, it's clear, as long as you put up other barriers. So I just want to make it clear. I don't want some member of the public to go look it up and then come back later and say we gave them wrong information. You can do that. Other districts do that, but there are other steps that would have to be taken in order to seat them closer than 6 feet. So I think
I'm not certain, but I don't believe we have the funds to purchase barriers to put all of the students in the classroom, to put barriers up for every student in the classroom. I mean, our CARES money has been mostly been spent on technology, disinfectants, PPE, things like that. We have looked into it. It's incredibly expensive, and we do not have the funds to put barriers up to meet the needs of, I mean, and at the middle high school, you're talking every single desk. So it's 1,800 desks plus a teacher barrier, which we don't have.
Through the chair, if maybe we didn't purchase computers and put barriers up, would the money be similar?
Well, we need the computers because all of our students have to have the ability to work virtually. And what has happened is we have taken our entire inventory and given it to the students. We have no backup inventory except for maybe 20 devices. And so therefore we don't have the computers in the classrooms for the teachers to use. So in order for us to continue doing what we're doing, we need more technology. And we also have, as we do every single year, when we have a lease purchase that is aging out, you need to replace those as well. You don't need to replace them if you're just using them, let's say in a classroom, but you certainly do need to replace them if you're using them for standardized testing. They have to be current, or at least not expired or out of use.
All right, thank you very much. At this time, I believe it is time to move to closed. So I would like to make I need to ask for a motion to go to closed and adjourn the open session of the meeting. So a motion to recess to close executive session to discuss personnel and matters covered by the attorney-client privilege per NJSA 1046, the Open Public Meetings Act. The subject matter discussed may be disclosed to the public if and when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Action will not be taken and the board will be adjourning this open session.
Motion.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So we will be adjourning and going to Mrs. Shanley's link for a closed session at this time.
Cal, can we have like 5 minutes?
Yes, that's a good idea.
How about 10?
So let's say about 9 o'clock-ish.
Okay.
And our next meeting is Wednesday at 7 p.m.
And Michelle, just let people know that we're not coming back into open and there will be no action taken.
Okay, thank you. Yes, there will be no action taken. I think I said, and we will not be coming back into the open session. So we'll be closing this meeting out.
All right, was I
Thank you,
muted?
everyone.
Was I muted when I was talking? Somebody said I was muted.
No, we heard you.
Oh, okay.
You
Thank
were
you.
breaking up, but we heard.
Oh, man.
All right.